Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast with your host, Cody Jansen.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a monumental episode 8 of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We're joined tonight by the champ, Joel Hetrick. So pumped about that. He's brought to you by DID Racing Chain. We're brought to you by CST Tires, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. We're going to dive right into this awesome interview with two-time, aka Joel Hetrick, fresh off his second national title in the pro class. But first, we need to thank our show sponsors. Thank you to our title sponsor, CST Tires, CSTTires.com. The Pulse MXR tire is the best tire on the market, no matter what the terrain. Join the CST takeover or prepare to be beat by someone who did. CST Tires, where passion meets the ground. Thank you to SSI Decals for their support. SSI Decals, an offshoot of their parent company, was specifically made for ATV motocross. No job is too big or too small. Make your identity stick with the baddest ass graphics in the industry. Thank you, SSI Decals. Thank you to DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain. You can thank them for bringing you big-name guests like Joel Hetrick and also for bringing the absolute best chains to the market. Thank you to 4Works Carbon for coming on board. Their 2020 rider support period is now live. Head over to their social media pages or website for featured products, discount specials, and to apply for sponsorship now. Thanks as always to Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant. Upgrade to Evans now to avoid overheating and boilover next time you hit the racetrack. When conditions are at their worst, Evans is at its best. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 at checkout to save at evanscoolant.com. Thanks to DP Brakes, the unquestioned leader in motorsports and powersports braking. Thanks to all of you who participated in our recent DP contest giveaway. Keep an eye out for more of those. Thanks to Blenders Eyewear, whose life and forward motion brand is the perfect fit to partner with our podcast. You won't find better shades for a more attractive price anywhere else. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 to save on the trendiest shades on the market, blenderseyewear.com. Thanks to Oats Overnight. Life is hard. Make breakfast easy. Simply combine with milk before bed and enjoy your to-go breakfast in the morning. Overnight oatmeal loaded with superfoods, perfect for athletes. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP10 to save at checkout, oatsovernight.com. Thanks to 100% and their new Omega Goggle, unparalleled performance for the modern racer. And thanks to Mountaineer brand. If you have a beard and you love it like I love mine, treat it right with their all-natural washes, oils, balms, and more. Use discount code CODYSFAVE in all caps. That's CODYSFAV in all caps at mountaineerbrand.com. We pride ourselves in partnering with only the best brands in the industry. Better your riding experience and your lifestyle by supporting the brands who support us. Once again, thanks to all of our sponsors. And now, I'm pleased to introduce, brought to you by DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain, your reigning and defending 2019 ATV Motocross Pro Champion. We welcome Mr. Joel Hetrick to the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. What's up, pal?
What's up?
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. And, we got a lot to talk about. It's been a crazy year, to say the least. And, I like what you just said, the reigning champ defending. That sounds good.
Yeah, how good does that sound? After all the stuff that you had to overcome this year, I can't even imagine how good that sounds.
Dude, it really, it's amazing. It's surreal to me that it all worked out. And, in a weird fashion this year, I lost last year from the chain, and this year I won because of another chain. So it's crazy where life can take you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how that works. And I tried to explain that, I think, in the review pod a little bit. Like, it was weird how the chain one year, chain other year, it's almost like it just balanced itself out. I don't know if that's how it works. But anyways, it's great to have you. And there's no better time than, now after your second championship in 3 years. So it's been, 2.5 weeks since you sealed the deal at Ironman? Like,
Yep.
Has it sunk in yet?
Yeah, definitely. At the track, pulling off second moto at Ironman, I think it was there for me. It sank in right there because I was tearing up when I was coming off the track just because the emotions hit me hard. And I worked so hard for this championship this year, and at the beginning it was good, but it was bad. And we had the mechanicals that cost me a lot of points, and at one point I was 29 points down, and at that point, it was like, what am I gonna do? There's nothing I can do except go out there and race and win motos. And it just, when the tables turned, I was like, okay, we're back in it. We can do it. Just got to keep doing what I'm doing, having fun, no stress. That's the main thing, because I put so much stress on myself, and especially when you're in a tight spot to win, it was tough. But the team, Phoenix Racing Honda, there's usually no push for me, no stress, and all I had to do was go race my four-wheeler, and that's what I did.
I think that, and you see from afar, you could see a lot of that this year. It seems like just in general, you're just more balanced. There's not as many up and downs. I think that your home life is obviously good,
Yep.
and it just seems like you're so even keeled. You've turned into such a good role model and such a professional. Like, I
Thank
mean,
you.
there's no arguing that the best guy won, I think, because you were the strongest guy all year. And then just like you said, to see after Chad had the chain problem, and it was like kind of all the mechanicals kind of balanced themselves out with
Yeah.
with 4 motos to go. It was like a clean slate again.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Even playing field, right? After Redbud, it was like, okay, now it's whoever the best rider is. It's a fight to the finish. Four motos of just grueling, as hard as you can go. And we did it. And Chad put up a heck of a fight. Ironman, I knew it was going to be tough, dude. He was pushing me every lap. I still had a little gap, but still, we had the big tires on. The conditions were different. He was pushing the limits. I was trying not to make mistakes. I made a mistake. He caught me 3 seconds one lap, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? Freaking out. So, I mean, it was intense, and that's what I want, though. I want that type of racing, and I think we're gonna get it. Um, Obviously, I enjoy getting the whole shots and winning the race by 5-10 seconds, but no one else enjoys that. So, to make the sport, grow and be more entertaining for all the spectators, we need good, clean racing, and I think we'll get it soon.
oh, for sure. I think it was cool to see, like you said, kind of it even the playing field. And I mean, you guys, especially at that last race, like the first moto, you guys just kind of held that gap. Like he
Mm-hmm.
would put in a really hard charge, but you were able to kind of answer. And
Yeah.
the second moto, I know you were kind of on cruise control, but the racing was incredible. So talk about that event in itself, like what
Okay.
your feeling was from the pro motocross, that finale with the bikes. What did you think of that event?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was huge for us, obviously. There's a ton of spectators, I think. I mean, more than normal, more than what we get at the ATV Nationals. So that was good. At first I was kind of leery of what people would think, being that they're bike guys. So, it was, I don't know. It was kind of weird at first, but then after, a couple guys like Billy Cottage came off, and he was like, all these guys are videoing, they think you guys are, awesome. And that made me feel better about how everyone there felt. And, it's going to grow when we do stuff like that. And I can only hope that the series will put, Ironman back on with us for the pro motocross, and ATV mix them in again. And hopefully we can do a couple more of those, maybe High Point. I know that Racer Productions owns that track too.
Yeah.
So that'd be one to go to. I think that'd be easy for them to do. And just more of that, because it was so fun. The atmosphere was cool. It was cool to be there with the factory teams. And, we went over and met with the Honda guys, talked to them. That was really cool. Talked to a lot of guys at the signing, and, a couple of them congratulated me, which I thought was awesome. I didn't even know they would know who I was or anything, but, for them to say, congrats on a championship, it meant a lot. And, to watch them race the next day, that was even cooler.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was, you could tell the more that the day went on, the fans were more and more into you guys. And then you could see like the people that were just seeing it for the first time, like when you guys would come around in the first lap and you're hitting all these big jumps, like they were blown away. And then when, I saw Freddie Norrin hanging off the fence for you and cheering you on, and some of the other guys, like Sean said, Tomac was by him. AC was by us. Ian from SSI said that Dylan Ferrandis was up watching you guys, and like they were totally into it. So that's pretty cool, like in my mind, because there's always going to be people that are really worried about what's going to come of an event like this. And I just think in general, no matter what comes of it, I think it's so good for the sport. And that's what I said on the review podcast, was that the sport today is cooler than it was 3 weeks ago or whatever, when you had Racer X posting good things about it and Vital MX posting good things about the ATVs.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's just it's pretty impressive. So the track itself, did the dirt bike ruts and that stuff impact the racing at all? Because I was worried about that.
I was worried too going in. Well, we're all thinking, like, I'm talking to Brandon Hogue, Grayson was with me. We're all thinking, like, what's the track going to be like? We have no idea. But I knew in my head it's going to be a dirt bike prep track. It's going to be super deep. They're going to water the crap out of it. And that's exactly what it was. And then we got rain. So then it made it so deep and muddy, and, no one wanted to go out first qualifier, obviously. But after it cleaned itself, we cleaned it up for second qualifier. And then, first moto turned out to be pretty good. We still ran big tires, but the ruts weren't terrible. Ruts weren't too bad. The only thing that was bad, there's a couple really soft spots still. Other than that, we probably could have managed to run small tires first moto, but it was just the fact of you see the guy next to you with big tires and you're not going to make that, that call right there. Be like, I could do it. Well, he's still got big tires on. You probably shouldn't. So there's so many things going in your mind. You stick with the bigs. The first one, everyone did, and that was the way to go.
Yeah, so to explain to people that haven't been through that before, because I've been through it, so I know what you're talking about. But like the big tire, little tire thing is such a headache, battling back and forth when that's happening. Like there's nothing else I think that you guys go through that compares to that, because it's like you're looking at other guys like, what does he have? What does he have? And it's an added dynamic.
It is. I think, there was like spies for teams. Like I had my mom go over and see what, Thomas and Chad were doing, and they had their guys looking at our tent. It's like everyone just wanted to know, like, are you running big tires? No one's going to tell you. No one's going to be like, hey, we should all run big tires. That way we all know. Heck no, I'm not going to tell Chad that. He's not going to tell me that. No way.
Right.
But, we made the right call. Everyone had them on down there. And the start was deep too. So I think that was one of the main reasons. And, really just to keep the bike up a little bit, to not, grab that chain in the ruts. That could have been a major bad deal for someone. But that it's so tough, because if you, let's say I've made the wrong call this year at Texas when it was so muddy. Second moto, I'm like, I don't want big tires. They wore me out. I put small tires on. Excuse me. The third or fourth turn, going around the outside, I thought it was a heater line. Ruts were too deep, and I got stuck and got past. I'm like, what the heck? That's just one of them things you don't know for sure until you're out in the track.
Yeah, it's just an added worry. And when you're trying to seal a championship, that's the last thing that you have to be or want to be worrying about. So were you feeling the pressure like on that last race day, or was it just business as usual?
Normally I would have felt the pressure. But like what I told Carly, I was like, something's up. I feel really good today. I'm not worried. I went out and qualified like 1.2 seconds ahead with the big tires. And something that not a lot of people know is my track here at home it's got to be the rockiest soil that I've ever seen. It really does suck. And I always ride with big tires. So I was comfortable with the big tire setup.
Okay.
And that's why I think I wasn't so worried, because in the back of my mind, I knew I can ride this bike to its full potential with these big tires. And I went out and got the whole shot, which I did the qualifiers or the sight last start and completely butchered it with the big tires. So I'm like, this isn't good. But, the gate dropped for the moto and I nailed it, but it could have been bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. So were you a combination of what happened earlier in the year at Crawfordsville, where it was probably the worst imaginable outcome, where you DNF'd, and then,
Definitely.
what happened at the end of last year. Were you worried about your bike at all, or was that in the back of your mind as
Oh my
the day is
gosh.
unfolding?
Dude, that whole second moto, I didn't even hit rev limiter, I don't think, because I was
That's what
so
Sean
worried.
said. Sean was on here saying I went to Joel and was like, dude, you're not even riding like yourself.
Yeah, I knew what I had to do, and I made a plan going into that race, and I didn't tell many people about the plan. I kept it to myself because, there's nothing's guaranteed. So I just wanted to win the first moto and top 4 the second moto, and I know that would lock the championship up for me. And second moto, I'm just freaking out. I'm like, please finish the race, because from Unadilla, I've been in the clear, 5 seconds
Yeah.
ahead, and then the bike decides it's I'm done here, so I had to push it up for the win. But still, it was in my head the whole time, and I'm freaking out. And it finished like amazing, and then I rev bombed it for probably a minute straight when I finished the race. And I'm like, wow, this thing is about bulletproof now. I can't
Right.
can't
Yeah.
miss that. So
Yeah.
it was definitely in my mind.
Yeah, that's funny. I know that feeling of like you overanalyze every little noise. You
Yep.
start hearing things that you're not actually hearing. So thankfully
Yeah.
there was no issues there. You did what you had to do. Was it sweeter after you overcame all the stuff this year, the mechanicals and the stuff that didn't go your way? Did it end up being sweeter because of having to overcome all that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. It was the races that were bad, obviously were bad. There was only 4 of them. We nothing we could do. Just a couple part failures that we're obviously going to work on, get fixed for next year, and have a stronger package for 2020. But it was really sweet to overcome that and be able to win with what happened. And the one mechanical Chad had, it equaled out to my 4. We'll say 3, because one of the races I just had a little cutting out problem. I don't really know what it was. It was at Texas. It was real wet. But let's say 3 races that were terrible. And for me to overcome that and race and win as many motos as I did, and just never really get down on myself and tell myself like, hey, you can just lay back. You're done. That's the other tough part is self-motivating to go out there and keep grinding every day in the gym after stuff like that happens, and riding and just everything. But I had a good group of people that kept pushing me, and it was truly amazing, for the second one. I wish it would be 3 this year, but life ain't always fair.
No, that's true. And I think I had said maybe in a previous podcast that the stuff that you probably learned and put in your bag of tricks when
Yep.
you had that happen to you last year, you probably learned so much
Oh yeah.
going through all that just as a man that,
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason, right? So,
It,
um,
it honestly formed me into a better person, and I can accept failure better now. I can show my little girl that even if it's the worst thing ever, you're trying so hard for this one goal in life, and it ends up failing on you. There's always next year. So that was the key to my success, was just never give up and keep pushing, and there's always next year.
yeah, that's the best way to look at it. So now in 2019, you got one thing left. You got the Quad Cross of Nations, which is kind of right around the corner now. I know people are wondering, how's the prep on the hybrid going?
Oh man, I just rode the one. It's Grayson's race bike. We put all my Walsh components on and everything like that. So it's a race motor. Walsh, my everything I got, it's my setup. That thing is wicked, dude. It is so fun to ride. I rode Sleepy Hollow for the D6 Ultimate Series, and dude, I had the most fun I've since, at the beginning of the year, when you stop riding for so long and you get back into it, that's when I have a lot of fun.
Yep.
But, I took a week off from riding, got back on that hybrid, and I was like, holy cow, this is fun. Other than the arm pump, it was fun.
So I saw the helmet cam, and it like looks like there's like you're literally going down straightaways, and the thing just pops the front end up. Like, so do
all
you
the
have to
time.
ride? Do you have to ride it differently?
Yeah, definitely. It's really light in the front end because the motor's, I think it's like 13 to 15 pounds lighter, and it's a little further back on the chassis. So it's basically sitting on the rear end. And I had to ride further up on the front of the bike and clutch it a lot more in the turns, which I didn't like. And that's what was making me get a little pumped up was
Sure.
I was fighting the bike a little bit. But after I got used to it, after one or two practices, I was like, I was loving it. And I had the turns dialed in at that point. The traction issue, which wasn't an issue, it just had incredible traction. And it being so light in the front and me being light, it wanted to wheelie every time I come out of a turn. But once I got that dialed in, dude, it was about the coolest bike I've rode for a while. And the throttle response is unbeatable.
Oh, I'm sure.
From the first 100 feet, oh, it's amazing.
So yeah, I'm sure that throttle response, especially the way that you ride,
Yeah.
it's got to like you would feel the throttle response more than anybody else would. So what about how nimble it is? Does it feel like you can throw it around even easier than the quad you're used to?
Yeah, definitely. That's what Grayson was asking me after I rode it. He was like, how much lighter did it feel in the air? And I told him, I was like, it was much lighter for me. Definitely in the front. I did a whip and almost didn't bring it back because it was so big. I was like, holy shit. But yeah, it was super nimble, and it was easy for me to like just pick I don't know, just move the rear end around, move the front end around. Um, I didn't have to ride it much differently, but like I said, clutched it a little bit more, up on the front a little bit more. Other than that, dude, I felt like I was flying.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see the footage from you riding this thing, whether it's, here when you're testing or in Germany. But yeah, it's going to be, I mean, it's like been the talk since that you said you were going to ride the hybrid.
Yep.
So, so yeah, I knew that everybody wanted to know that. So the other impact of that event is that, it forces you to kind of be in your training grind for, a substantial amount of time, really like 2 more months
Yeah.
than what you normally would have been. So do you find yourself wishing you could kind of like engage your off season mode and kind of do a little more relaxing, or is it just, hammer down and you're good with that?
I would definitely like to relax a little bit more. The first week, I really didn't do much. I worked out, did a couple runs. I don't run a lot because my knees are bad and it just tears me up. But I ran. I was sore for 5 days after that. So I was like, I'll just take a little break. And, but I had to keep training because I don't want to go there unprepared. And I know all them other countries and them other kids, and they're pushing. They want to beat us. So I'm not going to go there half-assing anything. I'm going to go there ready to win. And so I've kind of been enjoying what I've been doing lately. It's not as intense for the training, which is nice.
Yep.
But I'm still active, and I'm maintaining the same weight, which is good for me because I fluctuate really hard sometimes, especially because my diet, it changes when I'm done racing, and
Oh, sure.
the cupcakes are substantial. So I got to lay low on the cupcakes and pizza, but we leave the 31st, and I think we race the 5th and 6th, something like that. So it's not far away. We're closing in on it. I'm really excited. Been putting in the work. I've only rode the hybrid twice so far, done a bunch of hole shots, but I'm going to get on it this weekend, ride some more, hopefully get some footage, not GoPro, so people can see,
Yeah.
just me riding instead of just the GoPro. And I think that'll be cool. But yeah, it's definitely tough with this race and, staying in the grind, like you said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was definitely a question I had. And I guess this is more of an off season question, but this is always something I wonder because it's different for us who aren't at the pinnacle of the sport like you are at the very top. How do you manage to like try to improve or to up your game? Like, because you have so less to improve, you know what I mean? So like, are there things that you still pick out in yourself? Like, hey, I need to improve this, or, I mean, how does that work for you?
Yeah, that a lot of people ask me this question. It is really tough to answer, but like I tell a lot of kids and a lot of people that ask this, I will seriously study every one of my videos but prior to the race, or just like I was just watching the Ironman recap probably 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
For some reason, dude, I don't lose the fire in racing. It fires me up to watch myself race, to watch ATV motocross racing. And then when I'm watching myself, like I obviously, study myself more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But I watch and I'm like, I was lazy there. I could have been on the gas harder there. But it's so hard to be a critic to myself and then go out there and do it, because when I'm out there, I'm pushing, 100%. So when I'm out there, there's nothing else better I can do. But when I watch the video, it's like, what was I doing? I was being lazy, And that's the only thing that I can do off the bike to help, myself be better. On the bike is just riding with other people, honestly. That really helps. It pushes the intensity factor in practice. Me, Hogue, and Grayson rode probably at least 2 months together this season, and it was crucial. I mean, we went out to sand pits, we went out to every track, and we would do cat and mouse games. So I'd let them guys go, and I would push the limits trying to catch them. And the heart rates are proven that I was pushing every time I was on the track. And there's no better practice than that right there. And I'm not sitting there doing drills or anything like that. I'm just forcing myself to catch these guys faster and not make any mistakes during these laps. And if I do, then I'll do another lap, or I'll keep going until I feel comfortable with that moto.
Okay, I see. So that definitely riding with people definitely is key, but that you're just confirming that you do everything else, everything that we all do, where you feel like you're riding at your limit, and then you watch yourself and you're like, man, what am I doing? So, and then we all watch you, and it's like, Jesus, Joel, you can't go any faster. So,
sometimes I think that, but then I'm like, I could see it, and I know I could get on the gas. I know I could, and it's so hard to say because I might try it and I'll blow a dang berm, but that's what I tell everyone in my schools. Blow the berm. I don't care, but keep going. Don't throw a fit. Don't get upset. Keep going. Come around the next lap. And maybe not go as hard, but, push it that extra 5-10 feet. That's going to make you gain tenths of seconds that are going to add up to, major gains.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to find your limit. So there's no other way to find it than that. But Joel, I don't think that you have tons of weaknesses there. I mean, you had 6 overall wins this year? 14, 15 moto wins?
14 out of 19.
14 out of 19, he says. So, and how many had to have that many hole shots too, right?
I was trying to tally up to see how many I got.
Okay.
And I think 4 to 5 hole shots I didn't get.
Okay.
So out of all those,
the hole shot king, the self-proclaimed hole shot king.
Self-proclaimed. Yep. That's, I don't know exactly, but it's pretty close to, 4 to 5, maybe 6 that I missed. But dude, I practice a lot, and that's what people don't get. I sit out there for hours and just throw a rock in there, and when the rock hits the ground, I go, and it's been working.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it might be hard to one up this season, especially. Man, you had so much success, and then, like you said, it's just a different feeling when you kind of overcome what you had to overcome instead of just maybe sitting on this points lead and you don't get the highest of highs at the end. When there was a lot of the season you didn't think you had a chance, at the end you get it done. I got to believe it had to be the highest of highs. So, what a season. Nobody can argue that the best man won this thing. You fought your ass off to make it happen, and it was so fun to watch. So I want to talk about your younger years. I want to talk about your journey a little bit, but first let's hear from our sponsors. First and foremost, a huge thank you to CST Tires, CSTTires.com, for coming on as a title sponsor. The Pulse MXR tire, available in soft and standard compounds, offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics. Of the countless riders I've turned on to CST Tires, not a single one has been disappointed. Join the takeover and upgrade to CST today. Thank you, SSI Decals, for your support and presenting sponsorship of the live show.
An offshoot of their parent company that was established in 1947, SSI first took shape from owner Ian Harris's passion for ATVs. After making number plates and decals for riders like Chad Wienen, the brand quickly took off. Today, you couldn't imagine ATV motocross without SSI decals. The graphics maker now supports all the top teams in ATV motocross, as well as GNCC, Work Series, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Canadian Pro Motocross, short course off-road trucks, UTVs, snowcross, and NHRA 6-time world champion Clay Milligan. No project is too big or too small for SSI, making your identity stick with championship-level graphics. SSI decals.
Our featured guest is brought to you by DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain. This patented X-Ring racing chain boasts a steel alloy construction for reduced weight, increased strength, and a longer overall chain life, setting the standard and making it the optimal ATV racing chain. Pick out the ATV2 chain at your local dealer or wherever DID chains are sold. Wherever you go, go DID. We are also supported by Evans Waterless Powersports Coolant. Our Sight Lap intro segment is brought to you by Evans. The best powersports coolant on the market, Evans Coolant prevents boil over so you never have to pull over or worry about your engine no matter what the condition. Designed for use in ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, snowmobiles, and more. Use what the pros use. Choose Evans today. The Digging Deep ATVMX podcast is also sponsored by DP Brakes. DP has been dominating the ATV world for a while now by supporting riders like Joel Hetrick, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Nick Janusa, Baldwin Motorsports, JB Racing, Root River, myself, and more in ATV motocross. In GNCC Racing, they have all of the top 15 XC1 pros using DP, including the likes of Walker Fowler, Jared McClure, Chris Borich, Bryson Neal, Cole Richardson, and more, not to mention Hunter Hart and the top 4 XC2 riders. These riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them consistently on the top of the podium. Available at dp-brakes.com, purchase at your local dealer, or even message me for their contact info today. What are you waiting for? Join the best ATV riders in the world on DP Brakes.
Forworks Carbon's innovative lightweight products include top-notch seat covers, carbon fiber and plastic hoods, tank covers, exhaust shields, shock guards, and much more. Whether you have an ATV, UTV, or snowmobile, Forworks has goodies that'll make you salivate. I trust Forworks for increased function and a sexier look. Forworks Carbon, always working hard to bring high-quality, innovative parts to the market. Check them out today.
Finally, our fan question segment is brought to you by 100% and their new Armega goggle out now. Thanks to those guys for the support and supplying us with awesome 100% giveaways. Not to mention the new goggle that is setting the standard in moto. Now back to the show. All right, guys, we're back here with newly crowned 2019 Pro Champ Joel Hetrick. And Joel, let's talk about your story a little bit. When did you start racing, and where did it all start for you?
Okay. So I started racing at about 4 years old. My grandpa bought me my first quad. It was an LT80, and my parents were into racing at that point already. They had Hetrick Racing, their shop. So they got me going, and my dad was a racer, my uncle was a racer, and they took me racing at a local at Fox Raceway, and they obviously saw some potential from myself. And at 4, obviously you're like, you're just gonna go have fun. Obviously, you're not gonna push your kid to do nothing crazy, but I wanted to keep going, and we think 4, 5, and 6, I was local racer, and then at 7, I think we went to the nationals, and they were still mixed, so it was MX and flat track. I raced flat track, and we did well there, but I'm just trying to think. There's so many things that I went through, so many things I've raced. It's just hard to go back and think. But we started at 4. We went nationals at 7, and never quit after that. We won some flat track titles, 70 mod, 90 mod. We went to motocross, and that was maybe 2000 was the nationals. I was starting racing motocross on a 70 mod. Went there, was tearing it up, wasn't winning. I was, average guy. I was little, so it was hard for me to compete with the bigger guys. I was racing against like J.R. Hines, Cody Miller, shoot, there was a ton of them. Thomas Brown. Like, it's crazy to think I was on minis with them guys when I was 7, 8 years old. But, we just kept trucking from there. And as the years went on, I started to win championships. And the second year in 70 mod, I won a championship. Then we went to 90 mod, was racing against some bigger guys, Cody Miller, Thomas Brown, and they beat up on me pretty bad. And, the following year I battled with Jake Bratton for a championship. I got the championship. And, after that, we just kept going. It was like, it's so hard to even go back because I raced so long. Like, I've been racing over 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm 26 years old. So people are like, how long have you been racing? I tell them, no way, that's crazy. But that's it. And it's just in my blood. It's, it started young and never stopped. And, I was really fortunate to always have a good machine to go ride, or, my dad was so into it that he never wanted me to quit. So he didn't push me too hard, but he just pushed me to stay in it. He's like, you got potential, just keep doing it. We were winning titles, we were having fun, and it was a blast. And, to get up in the ranks, and we were at 150, me and Jeffrey battled 2007 WPSA. He will tell everyone, he always does, that he beat me that year. He beat me. I was on the 150. I hated it. I was not a 4-stroke guy, but I
had that in my notes because that was the first year of the 150, and you were kind of one of the only people trying to make it work.
Yep.
And I remember, like, Jeffrey his bike had more than you did. Those 150s just didn't work.
They didn't. We couldn't get it figured out, and my dad knew it, but he wanted me to race it. Obviously, it was his build. Like, he was one of the first to build it, so he's like, we need to race it. But it wasn't working yet, and I would go back and forth from the 105 to the 150.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love the 2-stroke. I need to race it, and I'm not going to say that's what lost me championship, but I wasn't comfortable. We had issues, and Jeffrey was there every race. Like, he was pushing me around the track on that 150, and it was everything I had to beat him. But it came down to the wire, and he whooped up on me that year, and he never lets me live it down.
I remember that year probably more vivid than any other year because Jeffrey and I were battling to the death in the 300 class, and then you guys were battling in that class. And I remember you being on this 150 and the thing's popping and farting and not going anywhere. And so one step back from that, that's what I remember from your youth years was you racing TT and motocross on those quads with the tiny little rear tires. And so, we all know that fast hardpack tracks are a strength of yours now. And do you think that, those years of racing flat track and TT, had something to do with that now, but you were doing that when you're young? You think you learned some stuff then that you bring now and make that a strength of yours?
Oh, definitely. I told many people that. I think me being on them hardpack dry slick tracks I'm kind of remembering the grassroots, and, when I'm on them, back in the day on the flat track, it's all about throttle control and traction and, setting guys up for passes that are really hard, to make passes on flat track, obviously, but doing it on a track, let's say like High Point 2017, it was a damn TT track with jumps. Yeah. So that played a perfect role for me, being that I raced flat track back in the day, I feel like, and it truly helps with, like I said, throttle control and traction and, where to be on the bike in those type of turns. And it all transitioned to, the rider I am today. I think I remembered all of it, obviously. And if I didn't, I definitely got lucky somehow, but no, I definitely remembered.
It's in your muscle memory or whatever, but right. I always felt the same way because I started on flat track and TT too. And sometimes now, like, if I race a TT or I race a fair race or something, and people will be like, well, that's from, you have all that TT experience. I'm like, I haven't raced TT in 15 years, right. But it's like in you, you're kind of programmed that way. So,
definitely.
I think back to when you were on a mini and racing, cause we're pretty much the same age, and seeing you racing, the TTs and stuff. And yeah, I think of it now like you're the same rider on those hard pack tracks, whether it be High Point or Muddy Creek, those type of tracks like Crawfordsville on a normal situation. And yeah, you kind of brought those tools from back then. The other thing that I remember from when you were a kid was you were on a film riding a 450. Was that Cale Downing's maybe?
Man, I don't know if it was Trent Candel's or Cale Downing's. It was. I know the track it was at. It was County Line. I still ride there.
Okay.
Shoot, I'm pretty sure
I remember that video like it's burned in my brain though.
Yeah, Carpe Diem.
Yeah.
It was in 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. Either way, man, I can't remember who it was.
Because I remember, wasn't your dad on there too? And he's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna let Joel ride this thing."
Yep. That was so cool. That was the first time I ever sat on a 450. So
I think what your dad says in the video, right? I thought that's where that came from. So yeah, I remember that. I remember you riding that 450 in that video. And then the next thing that kind of comes to mind is the Z400 days.
Oh man.
And that was what, 2008? Yeah.
2008. Yep. Then I went Pro-Am the next year.
So
or AM Pro-Am.
The thing that is crazy to me about the Z400 thing is that that would have been 08. So like 3 or 4 years earlier, the Gus was winning pro races on that quad. And
yeah.
Then, like there's this rise of the 450s, and all of a sudden a few years later you're in a quote unquote youth class on a Z400, but you were killing it. I remember like people saying like, "Oh, Joel Hetrick's doing A-class Pro-Am lap times on a Z400."
That's crazy. That year was interesting to say the least. I was still really small. The Z400, is a tank. And
yeah, I do.
I was so scared to get handled by that thing, because if I did, it would have been a bad day. But we had it set up pretty good. It had good power, and I won the championship that year on it. I had some good races. It was just kind of like a stepping stone for me to get on a big bike before I went on to the Pro-Am and A-class.
So then the next year you went to Pro-Am. You weren't an A for very long, right?
I was an A for probably 4 to 5 races, and I swear every time I got on the line, I either was winning by 20 seconds or would crash and just eat crap, dude. It was just one of them years where it's like I needed to get out of Pro-Am, I thought. A-class, I thought. So we did. We moved up to both Pro-Ams, and I think like the first race I got a podium. So I was like, oh, that was the right thing to do, I guess.
So that was 09. I remember, I swear I remember didn't you battle with Gibson at one race? Was that maybe Unadilla?
I think it was, we battled, there's a video, a rider spotlight, I think it's mine. Gloop made it.
Okay.
It was Muddy Creek. It was me, Travis Moore, Cody Gibson, Bobby Ross, battling it out. And I think Travis won the moto actually, but yeah, I battled with him there. I might have battled with him at Steel City, because I was on the podium there, I think, and maybe Unadilla too, because I got on a podium there too. And that was my first year in Pro-Am, so it was rad, dude. It was sick.
Well, that's what I was getting at with that question was, I remember you kind of battling with those guys, and it was right off the jump of moving to Pro-Am, and it was kind of like, okay, this kid's for real, because you never know. Like some people go from minis to big bikes, and they're not they're just
tough to make that transition.
It is, yeah, it's a totally different deal. So yeah, then the next year, 2010,
yep,
won 12 overalls combined between the two Pro-Ams. You won Pro-Am Unlimited. You finished second to Chase Snap in production.
Yep.
Man, that year was some of the best racing that I can ever remember watching. What do you remember from that season in Pro-Am?
It was intense, to say the least. We had, 25 guys on the line. Like, we'd qualified for almost every Pro-Am race.
I remember that.
Production was the elite one. Unlimited was like a 6-lap race. Production was 8 or something. But production was the one that everyone wanted to win. That was the hot class. Of course, I ended up winning Unlimited. You know, every time I got to production, it seemed like that freaking Cowie didn't want to finish. Like it would blow up or something would happen. And, you know, we struggled with production, and Unlimited, we did great. And, you know, funny story I had at Loretta's in 2009 or 2010, I was swimming in the creek. The championships are on the line. Like I had to do good in Unlimited to win. And my buddy threw his flip-flop in the creek, and I went to get it. I dove straight to the ground, hit my head, come out of the water, blood's rushing everywhere. Had to get 10 stitches in my forehead. My dad's freaking out, you know, obviously telling me, you shouldn't have been in there doing that, this and that. You know, I'm just being a kid, dumb kid, whatever. But they slapped like a maxi pad on my forehead, and we went racing.
You wrapped up a championship.
The next day we Pro-Am Unlimited. I wrapped up the championship on someone else's Cowie. It was one of our team riders' Cowies, because mine was we were trying to save it for production.
Oh, okay.
And because we still could have won it, I think.
Yeah. So when I looked it up earlier, prepping for this, you lost by 8 points, but it was close. Yeah, it was right down to the wire.
I know what happened too.
See, something happened at the very end of the year, right? That gave it up.
I don't know if it was this, but at Loretta's in the production race, there's a tangle up on the line or on the hole shot, and I was in it. So I started dead last. I came through. Chase knew what he had to do. He had to get like fourth or something, and I was in the back. So I was coming through the pack, and I didn't have the race that I needed to get it. And I don't even know if I would have won Loretta's if I would have got it. It's just hard to think back to that, but still, that didn't help it, of course. And, you know, that was tough, but we did get Unlimited, which was cool, to say I got one Pro-Am championship, and then we went pro the next year.
Yeah. So 2011, you went pro, and the one thing that stands out, at least for the first half of the season, was, you know, that there was all this hype, obviously, and whatever, but you mentioned it a minute ago, but the Kawasaki definitely held you back.
Oh man, it did. It did. It was crappy because, you know, we wanted to try to finish the whole season on that bike, and, you know, we couldn't. My dad was fed up with it, and he was the boss at that time. So he was like, you know, we're going to Honda. And I'm really glad we did, because everything after that started working, and the tables had turned, and we started finishing motos. The first race on the Honda was Budds Creek. It was muddy, and we didn't do great. The race after that was Unadilla, and that was my first pro win ever, going 1-1, and on the rookie year. So that it was just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, that's when I think back to then, that's the one race that's burned into my mind, and people talk about it all the time. Still on on the podcast, it's been mentioned multiple times that Unadilla ride that you had going 1-1 for your first win is like legendary. I mean, think about if somebody did that now. Like, we talk about it for years. We're still talking about it. It's 8 years later, and we're still talking about it. But so when you were on the Kawasaki, was there factory affiliation there?
Yeah. The first, I think it was 2008. I wasn't on it yet. My dad had a team, Hetrick Gabriel Racing, and they had factory. Yeah, they had factory support. You know, they got bikes and parts and everything, and that was when the factories were there. It was booming. The series was awesome, of course, and you know, I think when I went to Pro-Am, it kind of dwindled down, and then when I went to pro, there was obviously none of that support left, so we were just doing it with the parts and
you were okay.
Yeah, with the stuff we had left, and you know, because I loved the bike. I thought it was great. But you can't race something that's not going to be reliable and finish. And, you know, to get on the Honda, at first it was tough to get on for me. It was a little bigger. The Cowie was small, so it obviously fit me well. But when I got on the Honda and the power and, you know, the turning was just unbelievable to me. Till this day, it is the best handling quad that I've rode. Especially now with the way that Jay Goebel and Elka Suspension have been tuning the shocks, and just the package I have, dude, it's unreal. It works so good, and I'm so glad we made that transition to that Honda. And you know, we went back and forth. We had the Can-Am days, but we always went back to the Honda.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to believe that I mean, obviously you proved it right because you get on the Honda and you take it right to the front. That's got to be, I can't imagine that you have many memories that are better than that one. And then you did the same thing at Loretta's, right? You ended the
Yeah.
year with 1-1 at Loretta's. So it was kind of like, this is no fluke. It's not just that this kid is super light and was holding the thing pinned at the home of horsepower. Like you
Yep.
did it at Loretta's. I have to believe that those are unforgettable memories. And, but deep down, so when you're on the Kawasaki, deep down, did you know you had wins in you and it was just the quad that was holding you back? Or did you almost like surprise yourself what happened when you got on the Honda?
I had no idea that I could win a race. I wasn't in shape. I didn't train. I mean, I stayed with D Manshak at Splendora, and he was training me, but I was a lazy kid at the time. I didn't put the work in that I needed to, and I tell everyone, I'm like, if I would have worked as hard as I did then, I could have been, maybe multi-time champion by now. But that's where I was in life, and this is where I am now. So for me, looking back and, progressing so much, it feels really good. I've made such an improvement in my life, and I feel like I've matured majorly. And it's crazy to look back and be like, dude, I should have just slapped myself on the head back then.
Well,
But I still,
maybe without those experiences, you wouldn't be where you are now, knowing that you're always giving yourself as much of an advantage as possible, right, with your training.
yeah, true that. Yep. Very true. And, like I said, the failures you go through will form you into a better person. And that's what I went through. I didn't fail in 2011. I had them 2 wins in my rookie year, which no one's done. So for me, that was incredible. And I thought I was thought I was going to be, the next Chad Wienen after that, but I still didn't realize because he wasn't there. Let's go back to that. He wasn't there. He had his broken back.
He was hurt.
And
Yeah.
he was hurt. And I always tell people, I'm like, I wouldn't have won if he was there. And, people are like, why would you say that? Because it's the truth, dude. He was the guy to beat, and he was out. So I would never take that away from him. He obviously was in shape back then. He had it figured out. He was matured. He was 20-something years old at that time probably. So he had his stuff figured out, and I didn't. I was getting into the class, and I needed to figure it out.
It's kind of funny. I've thought about this a few times that, you both, in a very similar manner, took however many years, 6 or whatever year, 5 or 6 years before you got to the point where you had your stuff together and you were kind of the guy, or the guys. It's very similar manner between both of you. But, so after that, after your rookie year, then, you kind of jumped back and forth from the Can-Am to the Honda, the Can-Am to the Honda. There's like 3 years there where you grabbed 1 overall win a year. So in 2013, is that the year that you got hurt where you broke your collarbone?
Yeah, we did that. I broke my collarbone at Wild Creek, or was it Wildcat or Wild Creek?
Wildcat Creek, yeah.
Wildcat Creek. Okay, yeah. So I was trying to pass Joe Bird, and I was just going too fast to the rollers and got kicked up super hard and landed basically right on my face. The quad followed me and broke my collarbone. Shared the ambulance with John Natale, so I thought that was okay. But the crappy part was they sat me straight up and down, and I rode the whole ambulance ride bouncing up and down. I'm like, my damn collarbone's broke. Can you give me? I want to lay down.
Seniority.
But, yeah, Natale was laying down. He was hurt. He was hurt too. But I was like, holy cow! That race took a lot of people. And Tim Detling wrecked, and I wrecked, that. And
I did like that track though. I did like that.
I did, yeah. I wrecked because I was just pushing the limits, and I think Tim got tangled up on a jump, and I don't know what happened to John, but it was all just kind of weird accidents. I don't think it was the track itself.
But then you only missed 1 race or something, right? Like I remember you coming right back.
Yeah, it was crazy. I got the opportunity to go to the Ford's house. They flew me there on their jet, which was super cool. We stayed at their house. I had a special surgery done called a Sonoma surgery,
Okay.
It's only one screw, and they hollow out your bone and put a titanium rod in there. At the end of it, it like flanges open and like claws open on your bone, so it can't come out, it can't move at all. So I
Okay.
had that surgery done. The heal time was like minimal compared to a plate and screws. And for some reason, I needed to get back. I needed to get back to racing. And now I look back and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking?
What was so important? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's mind boggling that I had to hurry up and get racing again. And I know the contracts I had with companies were like, you had to be racing this and that, but I think that I would have been okay if I still didn't race that race.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
but we did. I went to Sunset Ridge. I raced, and I didn't do phenomenal. I think I went 10-14. I battled with Sean, one of the motos. I always give him crap for that. But, yeah, I mean, now I look back and I'm like, you're dummy. Why would you do
so
that?
important? Yeah, it's funny that we get caught up in that at the moment. But my point of bringing that up was that you were better than the results showed. All those, those 3 years there where you only won one overall per year.
Yeah.
So what do you remember from the Can-Am days? Like what stands out about those years?
Nothing fantastic. I can't say anything bad about the bikes. The bikes were good. We had great team support. Can-Am was helping. I was with David Eller with Maxton Construction at the time. Was kind of like it was his team for the first year, I think, in 2012. It was the Livewire, and then 2014 it was the Motorworks, or it could have been swapped. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. It's just like I said before. I wasn't in shape. I wasn't pushing the envelope like I should have. There was just a lot of things that I needed to change in my life. And, at the end of 2014, I really figured that out.
I see. Yeah. Go ahead. You can finish that.
Oh, no, I mean, I think I honestly was tired of getting beat when I know deep inside, like, I've done this all my life. I need to, put everything I have into it and give it my all to see my results. And that's when I finally got hooked up with the trainer and started finally training.
Okay. Yeah. So then, I mean, just in general, the box score, the stats show it. Then in 2015, following those years, you're back on the Honda and you really started to figure it out. You got 4 wins that year. You finished second in points for the first time, and now you were building. That leads right into 2016, which I mean, to date, maybe until this year, might have been your very best. Where it was the year of the eights. You had 8 wins, which is incredible, and you ended up losing the championship by 8 points. But now, was that the year that you crashed at Daytona? So then you were chasing all year long to make up for that.
Yep, that's correct. I got a little, I don't really know exactly what happened. I was coming up on the tally, and I was like, back then, I was full bore. I'm like, crazy Joel. And everyone said it to me, like, why don't you just chill out? I'm like, I can't. I need to go faster. But I should have chilled out because I bombed this single. I was going to try to pass on the right side, bombed it, landed so minimal on his rear tire of my front tire, and it just tossed me. And luckily I landed on a hay bale, so I didn't get really jacked up, but my knee took the brunt of everything. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know how my knee got, jacked up like it did, but I tore 2 ligaments. One completely tore the PCL, which is the other, it's like the biggest ligament other than the ACL. They cross together. Yep. And then the MCL was slightly torn, and I've never got surgery. I still battle with it today. My freaking knee moves in and out like insane. But, I put knee braces on after that. Tim Detling got me with a good company, CTI, and put the braces on, and been fine ever since. And that's why, like I said earlier, I can't run much because of that.
I see. But yeah, I knew when I was looking at the stats, I knew you won all these races. But you came up that little bit short. Then in my mind, I'm like, oh, that had to be the year where he spent the whole season trying to make up the 25 points, whenever you were down at the first race. So,
and it wasn't like that year. I mean, I did really good. 8 out of 12 overalls is awesome. But it wasn't like that year I couldn't just go out and dominate every moto I went out for. I wasn't there yet in speed or fitness. I mean, fitness was good, but speed-wise, bike handling, like we still had stuff to figure out, and we were figuring it out. I was taking the brute from the bike and, getting beat up a little bit, and just, like I said, every year gets better, and now we're to the point where it's amazing, but there was still things we needed to work on, obviously with myself too, but with the bike, and not take anything away from Chad. It's just that race took me out at the beginning, and I couldn't, get the moto wins that I needed to gain the amount of points that I had to get.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody could take it as you taking any credit away from anybody. I just, you were building every year. And that's why I kind of wanted to go through the years here, because each year it got a little better. Then in 2017, you finally got it done. So you won 5 overalls. But what stands out to me is at the end of the season, those like last 3 or 4 races, like you went on a tear to clinch that thing and get it done.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like the whole shot, I think I got the whole shot award that year too, which has always been a major key to the moto wins. And, like you said, 5, I don't know how many races we did that year. I think it was probably 10 or 11. But,
yeah, because I think that we would have still been going to Soaring Eagle then. Okay, and I think that we obviously went to Daytona. So
yeah, so the overalls aren't as spectacular as 2016 or this year.
But I think you started to figure out not having to go for broke in every single race.
Exactly. See, I calmed myself down, and if I didn't win, I was getting a second, and that's what I told myself. Like, you want to win your first championship, you need to relax and you need to play a strategic game rather than just go out there full bore every time you're on the track and go for broke. And that's what's cost me races, because I've wrecked. And I'm pretty sure in 17, I had the mishap at High Point where I think it was 17. Yeah. I cased the jump and cased the step up. Pretty sure torn my rotator cuff. Still to this day hurts. Did that. I was like, I'm done. I can't finish the race. I honestly thought I was done with that race. I pulled my tether because I was like, I'm done. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to finish. And then went out and rode. Adrenaline kicked in. I was fine. Came from last to second. It was awesome. It was a killer race. And, there's just been little things like that. Like Texas, I wrecked there three times in the same turn. It's like, dude, just relax for a minute. You can do a lot better if you just finish these races in second or third rather than 5th or 6th.
Absolutely. So winning that first championship, what did that feel like after 6 years of trials and tribulations and building? What did that finally feel like when you finally got it done?
It was honestly the coolest feeling I've ever had, just because I've raced for so long. Like,
that's what I was going to say, is you given your whole life to this. So then to finally get it done, like, I can't even imagine.
It was just surreal because, like you said, I've raced forever. And my dream, my goal in life, basically my dream as a kid was to be the Jeremiah Jones or the Doug Gust or the Dustin Wimmer or John Natale, just them champions. I wanted to be on the board with them guys. And to do it, and now to see my name on there, especially twice, it's like I did it, dude. It's so cool to me, and I don't know. It's just the best feeling ever. Other than my baby girl being born, it is the best feeling ever. And probably my wedding. We'll push it to third because I'm gonna get slapped if I don't say that.
I was just gonna say, because Carly is gonna be listening. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I can't imagine not what all those felt like, but I can't imagine after you spend your whole life chasing something and finally clinching it. You probably can't even put it into words.
I really can't. It's so hard to put it into words. People ask me all the time what's it feel like. And I don't know. It's the icing on the cake, dude. It's what I wanted in my life. It was my main goal, it was my dream. And to be the champion and to have everyone look up to you, it's the best feeling in the world. And it's obviously not just given out. Like, you have to earn it, and that's even better to have earned it. And man, it's so awesome. And
Yeah.
then now I have two,
Yeah,
and
there you
after
go.
this year, it's like, oh man, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's so cool because I mean, we all, and again, you and I are a similar age, but I try to think about what it must feel like because obviously, like I did it most all of my life too. Like I wanted to
Yep,
be where you are, and to
of course.
see somebody who gets it done. And again, you've turned into such a great professional, such a great role model, such a person who handles their business so well.
Thank you.
It's just it's a really cool thing to see you get to this point. So, from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, we all know what happened the next season with the mechanical at Loretta's, but take us through the emotion and what it took to kind of go through that, because the thing that I remember instantly from it is not even the situation itself, but I was so impressed by the way you handled yourself when it happened.
Yeah, it was so tough. Just like we were just saying, I mean, you do it all your life, and then you come down to the last race, and I would have never thought that would have happened. And for it to happen, I had not one thought in my mind that my bike or my chain would come off. But you know what sucks? I was freaking myself out all morning. I'm like, I need to change my gearing. I need to do this. I need to do that. I should have never done anything. And I'm not saying that my mechanic did anything wrong. I personally think that since I raced 3 laps of the race plus the sight lap, I think I went over the inside single after the finish line, and I went over it, kind of like in the center, like my center of my swing arm went over.
You straddled it, yeah.
Yeah, straddled it. I did it wrong. I couldn't see, so I hit the line wrong. Instantly after that, my chain was off. So it had to have grabbed a rock or something. Like
Yeah.
it just. And then when I sat down, like I was obviously tore up. I walked back to my trailer during the race. Should have never done that, but that's what makes you a better person. You look back and I will handle that situation differently. I will try to go to the mechanics area, which I thought I had to push my bike all the way around to get there, but I was told I could cut the track. Personally, if someone cut the track to fix their bike on me for a championship, I would have protested them.
Right.
But that's just was in my mind. Like, I can't cut the track and get my chain on and finish the race and no one's going to say anything. That didn't seem right to me. I didn't even think about that though. I went back, I was pouting. I was straight up pouting, dude. And it sucks because I could have handled it differently, and I only lost by 1 point. I could have got back on the track quicker and finished and maybe got that 1 point, but there was obviously a reason that happened. And I think the reason was to accept failure a little bit better, and it made me a better person from that. And, I'll definitely think differently in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and even again from afar, I mean, nobody saw you pouting, nobody saw you, I knew that you could see in the moment that there was like confusion. You didn't know where to bring the bike to work on it. I mean, you know what I mean? I do remember that part of it, but like I just remember you taking it like a champ and being really, really impressed, because I mean it takes a I don't know, a big man to handle that without really showing their emotion and letting it crumble. Because like you just said, you put everything into something, you're fully invested in something. It seems like you can put it on lock, and then it all comes crashing down. So I thought that was really impressive. And then, this year we already mentioned it where, you had those DNFs in the middle of the season. You thought that, maybe it was over. You kind of almost tell yourself, right, like you're just going to go have fun. It is what it is. And now it was kind of inverted this year because, Chad has the problem. And like you mentioned right off the jump, like it's almost like everything just, fate doesn't work that way, but it's almost like it all just balanced itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we're all thinking, obviously, Chad's years of racing, he's not had a DNF. There's no hope of him having anything, which I would never hope that or wish that on anyone. I wanted to straight up beat him, obviously. And, for that to happen, it just, I don't know. It seems to me like it was meant to be. Obviously he went into Loretta's in 2018 thinking, I don't know what I can do to win the championship. I had a good margin. I think I was 11 points ahead or something.
Yeah.
So for him, he was in the same boat. Like, I'm just stuck here. Like, I'm just going to race and do what I can do. And that's what I was doing. I was winning motos. I was having a blast, and I did all year. And, I felt like I was the faster rider. For some reason, I picked up some speed this year. I don't know how. Like we said earlier, it's just I watched my videos. I put in the work, and, I'm getting a lot smarter with the bike, which I think helps. But yeah,
I do think, you can see that from afar that if there's a little bit of unnecessary pushing the bike, you clearly aren't doing that like maybe you did at one time.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what's funny, Carly, she's totally invested in this too. Like she just,
of course, yeah,
supports me 100%. And she's like, why you go out there in qualifying and tear up your bike? I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to go fast and get the qualifier. She's like, you need to relax and not rev limiter and not do this. And I'm like, okay, Carly, you're the boss.
That's so cool that she sees it like that, though, that, it's,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously she would be invested, but seeing like she sees the technical side of it too, that's super cool.
It is. I thought it was super cool. And it motivated me more. It's like, if everyone, is that, behind me that much, I can't give up. I can't let these guys down. I'm going to fight till the end. And, I want to win every moto I can. And I just kept clicking them off. And it was like, we got to Red Bud. I won the first one. I was in second, and I come around. I saw Chad. I literally didn't even think about nothing except I just need to pass Thomas and finish this race and move on. Cause it totally sucks. It really sucks when that happens to you. He was winning that championship. He had it on lock. I mean, he had 20-something points on me. Even if I won every moto, I would have lost by 4 points. I
by
did the
4
math.
points, yep.
Yeah, and I was bummed out for him, but at the same time, obviously, I'm like, here we go. This is it. This is our chance to battle it out. Let's see who the better rider is now. Let's put it all out there. And he did. I did. And like I said, I thought I had that little bit of extra speed this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. They say that winners never quit, and you never quit, and you ended up winning the championship. How did the feeling of number 2 compare to number 1?
I don't think any championship's going to be comparable to the first one, just because it's your bread and butter. It's the first one,
It's realizing something that you always work towards. I totally get it. But like I had mentioned a few times already, what you overcame makes it so much sweeter. It has to, because I mean, it went from in one day you thinking you're totally out of it to I'm only 1 point down. Like, and the way I took the second one after I crossed the finish line, my emotions were flaring up more than the first one. The first one, I was relieved. I don't know. It was weird. It was like, finally, like I did it. This is what I wanted all my life, is to win one championship, just one. I told Carly, I said, if I never won another championship again, it don't matter. I'm on the board. I won one. But to win 2 after everything that happened, it was like I was teary-eyed coming off the track, and I normally don't really get like that from racing. But for that, at that time, at that moment, coming off and seeing Brandon, my mechanic, and Jim, and all the guys just cheering, I was like, this is it. I did it. I can't believe this. I can't imagine what that feels like. How pumped are you to put the number 1 back on that machine?
Ecstatic. I was practicing this weekend at Sleepy Hollow, and people were asking me, giving me crap. They're like, where's the number 1 at? I'm like, I don't have him yet, but I texted Ian today and Carl, the guy at Moose, and I'm like, can you guys please get me some number 1 apparel and graphics?
I would. I thought that too, actually, when I saw the picture. I'm like, man, like you got to have those decals on there already.
Yeah. The David Eller with the Phoenix Racing Honda team, he got me that hybrid, and we just threw some plastics on to go practice it a little bit, and we didn't really think nothing of the little fine details. But today we were texting, and he's like, you need to get them graphics and number 1 stuff, and I'm like, okay, got it.
Well, you'll have plenty of time to show off that number one. So that's all
Right.
right. So when you were a kid, is this how you saw it going? Like, could you ever picture it this far? Is it easier or is it harder than you imagined it would be? Or did you
It's
imagine yourself actually getting to this point? Like, I know that it was your goal, but did you
yeah.
actually see it?
It's a lot harder than I would ever imagined, honestly, because just the mental aspect, keeping yourself going, keeping motivated, after all the bad stuff that you go through. And then, of course, like, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but
Yeah, I know that. Imagined that you would say it was a little more difficult than maybe you thought
yeah,
because every year you just learned something, it seemed like, and you put that in your bag. And all those
yeah,
years of learning and progressing and, even sometimes backing off a little bit
yeah.
made
I
you into
think,
who you are now as a champion.
of course, and I think when I realized it was going to be a lot harder than I'd ever imagined was when my first qualifier at Aona Pass in Pro-Am. I went out there thinking I'm this hot shot kid, everyone's talking me up, this and that. I go out there and qualify sixth. And I'm like, what? Like, no way. Like I should have been I'm like yelling at my dad or whoever my mechanic was at the time. I'm like, that's not right. And they're like, no, yeah, you're not there, buddy. I'm like, oh my gosh. And at that point I realized, like, okay, these guys are pro for a reason. Like they've got it figured out. This isn't going to be an easy task.
Yeah, I was curious to hear your answer there, but I had to believe it was going to be more difficult than, I mean, you can't imagine, you really can't. And I've said it a handful of times on these podcasts, but you can't explain to somebody how fast the pro class is. And then, I mean, at your level where you're at the very front of it, it's so mental too. Like you have to harden yourself mentally. And I mean, every single day of, I don't know, you have to have the whole package. Like every single thing you do, you're trying to find that little bit of an advantage on. I mean, especially when you're going against Chad and he's the ultimate professional too, and it's like, he's not cutting any corners. So now you said at one point you weren't training much and stuff, like you got to the point now where you're the guy that's not also cutting any corners.
Yeah. I push myself now, and I feel like, it might be bad to say, but I feel like no one can, I don't know, they can, but no one worked as hard as I did this year for what I wanted to accomplish. And I didn't accomplish exactly what I wanted to, because of, the mishaps we had, but I told myself this year, like after, the defeat of last year with the issue we had, I said, there ain't no way that I'm going to go into the 2019 unprepared. And I'm going to go out for every race and go as hard as I can every single lap. And, but I didn't have to. And that's where the maturity came in, is where I pulled myself back a little bit. Like, okay, Joel, I'm winning by 5-6 seconds. Let's just maintain a gap. Yep. Which before in life, I would just keep pushing and I'd win by 10-15 seconds. But this year was different.
I can imagine you can't teach that, right? Like you can only experience it and learn that aspect of racing.
You could have 1,000 people in your ear telling you need to calm down, this and that. It doesn't work.
Right.
I've had plenty of people tell me, just relax. You can't until you get the experience, until you're, experience with the racers around you and what's going on and what you really have to do during that moto or during that weekend. You can't just, slow down. You can't just do what everyone tells you to do. It's like, it's all on you. And mentally you have to prepare yourself for every weekend. And that's what I'm doing differently than most the years past is, I'm studying more myself, from the years prior of the events and just going into it 100% prepared mentally. And, physically there was no problem. Like me and, Brandon Hogue and Grayson, like I said, we're all training together. So if I wanted to slack, those guys weren't going to slack. So I had to go back out and put more time in than them because I wanted to work harder than everyone around me.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. It paid off because you got it done. Yeah, little Joel Hetrick back in the day would be pumped about where you're at now. So,
Oh,
yeah,
he
he'd
would look
be.
up to this guy now. He'd be like, how did you get there? Like, from where I was in a mental state and just how I thought compared to now, it's like, I don't know. It's just completely changed. It's for the better, of course, and I'm just glad I've grown into the person I have.
Yeah, that's awesome. The sport's lucky to have you. So, there's one thing left that we mentioned it earlier, but talking about something being sweeter are you looking more forward to the Quad Cross of Nations this second time after having to miss it last year for the birth of your daughter?
Yeah, I really am. Of course, there was no way I was going to miss my daughter first.
Oh yeah.
But I really wanted to be there, and to be chosen to go back, it's awesome. It's an honor to go. It really is. You're racing for USA against 17, 18 other countries of guys that they like you, but at the same time they want to whoop up on you. So to go there this year and being the champ again, I was the champ the first year and the second year. Maybe they'll only take me when I'm the champ. I don't know, but it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be another amazing experience. I think hopefully we can just go over there and race how we normally do and have a good time and just come home with the third title.
So I asked you when we did the live show, Quad Cross of Nations live show deal, have you learned any more since then about what the track is like or what to expect as far as that goes?
Not really. I probably should have, honestly. It's kind of bad on my part, but
I just didn't know if you guys had been talking about it at all or anything like that.
No, Thomas and we talk frequently. Chad and I really don't talk much, but assuming that we'll all be, getting in group chats here shortly to talk about, kind of like strategy for the race and, what we should do, what we should plan for, this and that. And of course, we have a test day there Wednesday before the race, so that's kind of where we'll go into detail of what we need to do and who needs to start first, and because we each have to start in the back row, so we need to figure that out. There's just a lot of stuff we really need to dial in, and of course, I don't know the track really, so that's something I need to take in my own hands and go watch some videos and do my homework on it, just like I do for the ATV Motocross Nationals.
Okay, so the other aspect of it too is, do you feel pressure when you go to these events overseas? Like, I don't even really know how to explain it. Where everybody knows you from a video, right? And
yeah.
So do you feel almost pressure, like you have to live up to your own standard a little bit?
To me, no, not really. What's weird is I don't have nearly as much pressure racing over there as I do racing in the States. And one of the main reasons is because the guy I normally want to beat, I'm on the same team with him.
You're on his team. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I mean, the first year I wanted to win the moto I raced with Chad, and I didn't, but we had battled it out, and that was something now that, we'll probably, that's why we're talking about, strategy, this and that. That's something we need to figure out, because there was some controversy there with me battling with him in that one moto. And I get it, we could have had a bad race. I could have got a rock hit on my radiator, something stupid could have happened. And that was just me being a little greedy. I won the championship. I wanted to, beat Chad, and, I felt like I had the speed, but nevertheless, we won, and, we're all friends and, hugging it out after that. So the controversy was over. No one was holding any grudges, and, we're ready to go this year and, just go over and try to have 5 good motos, because I think they take 5 of 6.
Yeah, that's what you guys had mentioned on the live show, and that it was maybe it's a goal kind of under the surface, but that you'd like to have that kind of perfect score. So be cool to see if you guys could get that done.
It would
Joel, I mean, through it all, like, you've managed to kind of etch yourself out a niche of kind of being the fan favorite. Why do you think that is?
I don't know really. You know, I honestly, I kind of do know. I try to talk to everyone. I never turn anyone down for an autograph. I never, shun anyone away. And I really learned that from John Natale. He was literally the nicest guy to everyone. And he lives close to me now. And when I moved in, he was over at my house hanging out with me, helping me out. He took me out to lunch. And it's like, dude, you don't have to do that, but he did. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And that's where I kind of got that from. He was the people's champ. Even if he wasn't winning, everyone loved John Natale.
Yep.
And, I picked that up from him, and he was a big role model in my career. So I always wanted to be like him, and I always wanted to be good to the people because I know the kids are looking at me, their parents are looking at me, and I just want to be the best role model I can be. And I think from 15 to now, I've really changed and become I feel like a really good role model for the kids, and I'm involved with the kids a lot. And like yesterday, this little boy, it was his 13th birthday, and he asked Carly, he couldn't get a hold of me. My stuff's usually blowing up on Instagram, stuff like that, but he got a hold of Carly. It was his birthday, and he's like, his dad said, can you make him a little poster and hold it up and take a picture? I was like, heck yeah. It was 9 o'clock at night. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I took we wrote a happy birthday cam on it, and, I held it up, sent a picture. He thought it was the coolest thing ever. That was easy. It took 2 seconds.
How cool is that?
But for him, it made his day or his night. And to me, that makes me feel good inside that I could do that. And I'm nobody. I'm just another quad rider. Like, I'm a nobody. I'm fast on a four-wheeler, and that's what I always want to stay humble and just be a fan favorite, because it makes me feel good.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's awesome that, what makes you a fan favorite? You realize this, but what makes you a fan favorite is not, you see it in other sports where the person that wins is not the fan favorite,
Yeah.
You're the fan favorite, because you're a great racer, obviously, but also because, you are the role model that, these kids need. You're the role model that you would have looked up to when you were younger. So, the sport's grateful to have you. It's better with you, obviously, than it would be without you. I'm grateful to have you on the show here. And, before we let you go, I have a couple fan questions. I told you before we started recording here that, we had hundreds of fan questions. So I tried to pick out a few of stuff that would maybe be a little different than the stuff that we covered already here. So, So Blake asks, who did you look to up to as an amateur? You mentioned John Natale, but was there any others?
As an amateur?
Or when you were younger. Yeah, when you were younger.
Yeah. When I was younger, I thought Jeremiah Jones was awesome. He was a great racer. Just his style, his hanging out there is kind of where I got that. And, hanging off the bike. Josh Creamer was another one. He won a championship. He was always kind of, I don't know. I never really got to talk to him personally until I started racing with him. And then when I started racing with him, I really got to like him. And, after that, he gave me pointers that I'll never forget. And I thought that was awesome. So definitely Josh. Natale, of course, like I said. Let me think. Other than that, it's them three guys really. Matt Bartosik, of course, I'm number 88 in his memory.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I was going to mention that. I had this in my notes here after this question that we didn't mention it until now, that I wanted you to be able to say why you wore the number 88.
Yeah, he was actually battling with Jeremiah. I was watching the race, and it was obviously a tragedy what happened. He got caught up with the bike, and it took a couple hits on him, and I stood there and watched that on the fence right in front of me. So for that, I was maybe 8, 9 years old. For me to see that, I didn't even want to race that day. I don't think I did. But after that, I called Debbie Bartosik, and I asked her, I was like, I'd love to race in Matt's memory. And, for ever since then, I raced number 88.
How cool is that you're still doing it to this day? That's amazing. Okay, I got one more for you. Clayton asks, after your Loretta's mishap last year, do you still run the standard master link, or do you run the rivet style chain like they talked about on the Quad Cross of Nations show?
Oh yeah, he knows better than that. I run the rivet link now.
Yeah. I didn't want to tell you guys at the live show, but I had been on the rivet bandwagon for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Because I like with the rivet, you never have to worry.
No.
And now, like, I won't even ride somebody's quad if it's got a clip style on it because I don't trust it.
Oh, come on. Why didn't you tell me that in 2018, Cody? Come on.
Well, I have no place to tell Joel Hetrick what to do, but
I'm kidding. Well, you should have, damn it. That would have helped me out. But
and it would have changed the course of time.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. So now we're on that bandwagon, of course, and it's been working.
Okay, cool. Great to hear. So I got Jimmy asks, how do you stay hungry coming off of your second national title?
That's tough. I don't really know yet. I was talking to Brandon Hogue. I trained with him, and we were honestly just talking the other day, like we're about to start a training block and get back into training for 2020. So there's really no time to screw around. And, since I'm racing the Quad Cross of Nations, I don't have a huge break off the bike. Like when I get back from that, I'm going to continue to ride. I'm doing the Ironman GNCC.
Oh, okay.
I'll be riding my dirt bike. And so I'll still be on the bike. And I think that's what's going to help me stay hungry is continuing to ride. But then also I'm going to take a break, which is going to let me relax a little bit. And then when I get back into it, it's like, okay, I want to ride so bad now, rather than if I just continued all the way until I went training, I might be a little burned out and I might not, be as hungry as I was this year.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, if you heard the review podcast, Shawnee T and Hammy, they think that you're going to win 8 or 9 plus. So whew. you have no time for any letdown.
No. I mean, it was this hard. It took 7 years to win one. So it's going to be a tough couple of years, I guess. But if they got faith in me, I'll try not to let them down, I guess.
That's what I said. I said somewhere Gary Denton is shaking in his boots.
Oh man!
But yeah. to piggyback off of that, how long do you see yourself doing this? You're 26 right now.
26. Yep. I would say I would love to race till I'm 40 years old, but I might not be that fortunate to do that. Chad's I think he's 34. So I'm hoping I can race realistically for another 10 to 12 years. And if the sport's still booming, heck yeah, I'll still race till I'm 40 or something. But there's going to come a point where I'm not going to want to get worked by everyone. I'm not going because there's going to be kids that are going to come up. They're going to, be that, Joel Hetrick of their era, and they're going to whoop up on Joel Hetrick. So that's the point where I'll have to, realistically take a step back and be like, okay, it's time to do something else. But I want to be in the sport. I want to do this forever. So I don't know if I'll do schools. I don't know what time will tell, because I have no idea at this point. All I'm focused on is 2020 and trying to defend my championship.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't imagine you sticking it out. It's hard to see top level athletes, like picturing them like on the decline and they're still hanging on. I don't picture you as one of those guys, but how exciting of it, to quick piggyback off of that. How exciting is it for the sport that it seems with the elevated, riding of some of the guys that you're racing with currently, plus there's a good crop coming. It looks like there could be guys, because I mean there was a lot of years there where we knew who like the top 3 was or the top 2 was, and then there was a gap. It looks like there's some guys coming in or guys on the rise, even the guys that have been there for forever, that are elevating their game, that are making it so like it doesn't look predetermined. I mean, kind of all those top spots are up for grabs. It's just good for the sport if there's more guys at the top that can mix it up with you.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like you said, they're coming. And I feel like they're hungry. The kids, the rookies that moved up, they did amazing. I mean, you had 2 rookies that got podiums. That hasn't happened since I
you.
think I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool to share the podium with them rookies, and I think that makes them hungry for more. And we got a couple kids coming up. Noah Mickelson, my teammate's one of them, and then Bryce Ford, and that's Bryce won a countless amount of motos. Like, he was hard to beat. I mean, he was the guy to beat, and you didn't see him get beat much straight up. Maybe at Redbud I think he did, but other than that, like, the kid, he rode phenomenal. So I think he's going to be a force to deal with in the future. Like I said, it's not going to come right off the bat. I figured that out firsthand, and it'll be tough for him, but he's got it. Like, I feel like he's got that talent, if he can put the whole package together.
Yeah, I mean, he could very well. You almost got to believe he's going to have to go through some of the stuff that you did and learn some of the stuff that you did. And, but yeah, I mean, I just think it's exciting. It's so good for the sport that we got fresh blood coming in and fresh blood from that rookie class this past year that look really good. I mean, you mentioned Brandon Hogan an array of times, and he's been up there, and at the end of the year, I mean, his qualifying times are so good and stuff. So just,
oh man, he almost got, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say the state of the sport is so good right now.
It really is. And I was going to say he almost got me at Loretta's in qualifying. I'm like battling with someone for first, and I come off the track. I'm like, who was the kid I'm racing with? Because Chad was in fourth. Yeah. I'm like, who was second? And they're like, Brandon. I'm like, that little, I'm not going to say it, but I was like, oh, he's killing it though. And I was happy for him because we're riding together. So, it's helping me, and it was helping him too. We're picking up speed. Me and him, we're pushing the limits. So I think he's going to be another force to deal with, and I think he's going to be, maybe in and out of the podium a lot more. At least, I hope for him, and I hope Jeffrey gets his situation figured out, because he was that podium guy. Him and Thomas always went back and forth, and Thomas was riding amazing at the end of this year and all year long. You can't take nothing away from him, but he really shined at a couple races, and it was like, okay, Tom, here he comes. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, every time I've kind of talked about this kind of stuff, it's almost like you want to mention every single guy,
Yeah,
but there's those new guys coming, and then the guys that have been there are also on the rise. Thomas had his best year. Jeffrey, before he, kind of was sick, I swear he was having his best year. And, I mean, just like all those guys. So, that's exciting. It's just so good for the sport. So speaking of Hammy, I mentioned him a second ago, friend of the show. He asks, hypothetically, if you had to start a 3-man pro only team, who are you picking other than yourself?
If I was starting my own team,
if you could pick any pros, only pros, and you can't pick yourself.
Oh man. Okay. Theoretically, the pro team I would pick, I obviously would have to go with the 6-time champ, Chad. I would pick. I think I'd pick Hogue.
Okay.
For my second rider. Third rider to top it off, because as it sits right now, I got the champ, and I got this rookie who's doing really good.
Right.
I think I'd pick Bryce Ford for the third one, just because.
Oh wow.
He could be that that pop-up guy that wins a moto or two. You never know. So I think that'd be my fantasy team, I guess you could say.
Somewhere Jeffrey is not happy right now.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey. He's got to figure his
okay. All right. Yeah, I got you.
But like to this right now, as it sits, that's the riders I'd pick. Nothing against no riders.
All right.
But I'm fond of Brandon Hogue, and you'd be stupid not to pick the 6-time champ.
Yep.
And I don't know, if I was a team owner, I would want to pick the rising kid.
Right.
You might be more stable with a guy who's been on the podium many times like Thomas, but that rising kid might impress and throw a wrench in everything. You never know.
Yeah, I like the way you look at it because, that's how those teams look at it. You have like an A rider, a B rider, and a C rider,
Exactly.
class wise. But like you have
Yeah.
contender, you have like the guy just one tier down, and then you have a newcomer. So,
Exactly.
you executed that perfectly. So okay. Tyler asks, what was the most heated moment you ever encountered as a pro?
Heated, as in like about
Yeah,
to get.
like upset or whatever.
Um,
I
there's a couple
I
of.
feel like you're pretty even keeled.
Yeah, I usually am. Earlier in my career, I had a get together with Chad at AMA Pass,
Ooh,
and
I remember that 2012.
2012. Yep. At the time, I thought he was in the wrong. I thought that he was being a freaking idiot. But I look back now, and the way I was trying to pass him, his line would have came into my line any day of the week. It just wasn't gonna work for me. So he comes in hot. I come in trying to go around the outside of Chad Weenan. Ain't gonna work. He pushes me over. I go into this huge ravine.
I
I'm
remember.
so mad. Yeah, I'm freaking out. I'm like, I was gonna pass this freaking guy, and he comes around. I'm giving him 2 thumbs down, like on the track.
I was standing right there.
Yeah, dude, I'm surprised I didn't get fined or something, but I didn't
That was
flip
the
him off.
first race of the year, too, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So that's what made me even more mad. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
do that, but now I look back and I'm like, dude, I would have done that to like that kid. I would have done it to whoever was trying to go around me on the outside. Like, not today, Junior. It ain't gonna
Right.
happen. But yeah, that was one of the most heated, and I really can't think of nothing. Me and Thomas got into it 2017 at High Point, and it can go both ways on this. At the time, I didn't feel like I did anything at all wrong. But then I look back, and I was coming through the pack after the incident I had. I, messed up, and I passed Thomas with 2 laps to go, or a lap to go, his final lap maybe. And I didn't jump that step up because I just wadded myself up on it, basically. And
Right, yeah.
he was jumping it, and he had thought that obviously Joel's jumping it if he just caught me by that much. Like, we had talked after it, and this is the story that he had told me. And he's like, I thought you were jumping it. And I wasn't. So he was setting up to jump it, and he had to like turn on the face because I didn't put a hand. I didn't do a warning or nothing. I just checked up and didn't hit it. Well, he crashed pretty hard.
I remember.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and he.
But
came off
you were doing just what you did the whole race, because after you crashed at the beginning on that jump, you didn't jump it the whole rest of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, I was done with that thing. There was no way I was doing it again that moto.
Right.
But so he comes over after, and he's hot, and I'm like, what did I do? I at the time I didn't know, but I got a temper, and it went off like at a snap of a finger, dude. And I was like freaking out. Brandon, my mechanic's holding me back. I'm like, I can't hear him. I can't hear what he's saying. And all I wanted to do was hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that was making me more mad because he's still screaming at me, mother effing me. And I'm like, holy, I must have done something, but I had felt really bad after the fact of whatever. He didn't talk to me until the second moto. I went up to him on the second moto, and I'm like, dude, I apologize for what happened. I wasn't jumping the jump the whole race. And of course I didn't want you to wreck like that. And after I saw the video, I was like, holy cow, he hit the ground pretty hard. So that was a heated moment that was the most recent one, I guess. And after that, we've all been really cool, and we've been racing really clean. There's one more if you want me to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. No matter.
Right. Here we go. So 2016, we went to Monster Mountain, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It was the year I was trying to come back in the points. I think. Yeah, it was that year because that was the last year we went.
Year. Yep.
So if you recall, me and Chad were battling. I think it was second moto.
Oh, I remember. I saw the pictures. I would have been at on the track with you guys, but yeah, I remember the pictures.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, I couldn't make the pass on him, and I had a line which drove into him, basically every time I took it, and I took it every lap. It was a better line, I feel like. And I eventually got a little fed up with following and bumping him around, and I couldn't pass, but I was a faster rider on the track. So I go in, and I come in basically the same line as I normally do, but I had bumped him, and it spun him sideways, and he caught and he wrecked. And I look back, and he almost wanted to give me the bird, but he didn't. And he got up. He finished second. He didn't lose no points other than, the moto win. But he had come off we were heading at the podium, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for him to come up because I know what's going to happen. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. He comes up, runs into the back of me, and he's like, "Nice move." And my response was, "Oh, I was doing it for a championship," which that wasn't the right response because he wasn't happy about that, and his family wasn't happy, and it sucked that he wrecked because it looked really bad on my part, but that was my line every lap, so it's not like I intentionally drove in to take him out.
Yep.
And when I look back, I was pretty upset with myself. I'm like, dude, why did you do that? You just took him out. Like, that wasn't the proper thing to do. But at the same time, it's like I needed to make that move in hopes that I could do better in the championship at the end. Not that I wanted to take him out. I wanted to pass him.
Right, yeah.
It ended up he wrecked, and that was another incident. But it was 16, so Thomas's was the most recent, and now we're all on Team USA again together, and we're good buddies now. It's all a thing of the past, and it's all racing.
Yeah, I think it's been really cool to see. I mean, it seems like the relationships, and you mentioned your relationship with Chad, and we talked about it a little bit maybe on the Quad Cross live show, and I mentioned it to Chad on the podcast I did with him. But it seems like there's been these ebbs and flows with it.
Yep.
But it's pretty cool because I mean, even like most recently at Crawfordsville, he was gracious in defeat. He gave you a bunch of credit. He called you the fastest rider. It's like that dynamic as a fan or somebody who loves the sport. I think that's so cool that, you guys don't have to be buddy, but you're able to give each other credit. You're able to race hard. And then when you get off the track, congratulate each other and whatever. I think that even as an athlete and a competitor like you, that's gotta be, it's almost like a rewarding feeling. I don't know. It's like this.
It is.
Gained respect,
Yeah, I was. I thought that was really cool what he said on the podium. I really did, and I told a lot of people about it. I never say anything to knock Chad because he is a 6-time champ for a reason, and he's put in countless hours of work. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, that dude does his own mechanic work. He does his own motors. Like, I respect that because it's just incredible to carry all that on his shoulders. And now with a little baby boy with him, there's a lot on his plate. So you can't take anything away from him. And, I respect the heck out of him. He's a great rider, and I'm pretty pumped to see what he brings for 2020 because I think he's going to be coming out swinging.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I think I would assume that deep down both of you are grateful for each other because without each other, I mean, there's a lot of good riders out there, but you two are 1A and 1B. And I have to believe that it wouldn't be the same for either of you without the other one.
I agree. I've thought about that many times, and I know he's racing next year, which it makes me happy. A lot of people are like, I wonder if he's retiring. That'd be good. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't. Heck no, it wouldn't be good at all.
No.
I want to race. Obviously with the best of the best, and if he's gone, that's one of the 6-time champ. No one's done that for since Gary Denton. He has 8, but Chad is the second. He holds the second most championships. So we want that guy there.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be the same for you without him. So I got one question here. One last question. DJ asks, what do you see yourself doing after racing?
Oh man, this is such a tough question.
Something racing related you already said. So you want to stay in it whatever way you can.
Yeah. So what I tell a lot of people, what I would really like to do, not what I really like to do. I'd really like to race and bank up and never have to work again. But that's a fairy tale.
Yeah, yeah.
I think realistically, if I could end my racing career on a high note, not go out, at the point where I'm dwindling down to, not being a great rider or whatever. But I think I would want to, be a sales rep for a company, or be a mechanic for a upcoming rider, or work for the Phoenix Racing Honda team. They have a lot of good things coming, and if I'm with them at that time, it would be cool to stay with them, just because of everything they've done for me over the years. I feel like if I could work for them and still be a part of the team and help them out, like they did for me, I think that'd be cool. But if not, I think a sales rep for a gear company, oil company, anything that I know about, because honestly, my highest level of education is a high school diploma, and other than that, pro motocross racing is all I got.
Right. No, I get it. But even I'm nowhere close to your level, but like, even for me, it's like the one thing I know, like, all the ins and outs of is the industry and this sport. So it's like, I have so much to give. It's just figuring out where you fit, and you're in the same way.
Exactly.
Like, you have so much to teach somebody, and so much industry knowledge. Like, you got to stay in the industry one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that would be really awesome for me to stay in, and like you said, just kind of give out my knowledge, because at that time, maybe it's 10 years from now, maybe it's 20, but I'm only going to gain that much more knowledge in that time, and be more mechanically inclined with the machines, and mechanic wise, that would be fun for me. I like working on quads, specifically the TRX, because it's about the best one to work on.
But sure is. Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Obviously, whatever I'm doing, I want to be involved with ATV motocross, or the motocross industry.
Yeah, it's in your DNA, so I don't think I don't think that you're going to split up anytime soon. So, Joel, I think that's a perfect question to end this thing with. Which question was your favorite? We'll give the asker of your favorite question. We'll send them some goodies.
Can you do a quick recap of the questions?
Yeah, I can. So we had asking. Blake asked who you looked up to as an amateur.
Uh-huh.
Clayton asked about the chain.
Okay. That's not my favorite. Sorry.
Jimmy asked about staying hungry after your second championship.
Good question.
Oh, Hammy asked about your 3-rider pro only team.
It's a really good question, but
he's not winning anything, so
he's not winning. I already know. I already know that.
No. And we had Tyler asked your most heated moment, and DJ asked where do you see yourself after racing?
Those last two are in a tight battle for the best question. I think I'm going to go with the most heated, just because it brings back some good and bad memories. Okay.
Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to send every one of these. We had so many people enter. What we'll do is we'll just send all these people some goodies. So
there we go.
Yeah. So we'll make everybody happy. Again, Joel, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you send me their addresses. I got a graphics kit here. I can send them some stuff.
All right. Yeah, we can do that too. So all you listeners, Joel and I will both send you some good stuff. So again, Joel, I can't thank you enough for all your time. It's cool because we mentioned this before we were recording, but in our sport, we don't have an avenue to talk about all these things and bench race like this and talk about, all the stories and the way you came up. And I mean, there's tons of people who are diehard Joel Hetrick fans that don't remember you on minis, that's long ago that it doesn't get talked about anymore. So, it's so cool for me to be able to bring this content to people, but none of it happens or none of it is meaningful without your participation. So I can't thank you enough for your time here.
Oh, no, thank you. I had a smile on my face literally the entire time, because I really enjoy talking about everything I've been through, and just kind of reminiscing on, the years and the good and bad. And it's just, it truly is fun because I love the sport so much, and so do you. So it makes for a good conversation like we just had.
Yeah, that's what I found after I started doing this was everybody wants to talk about racing and talk about these stories because none of us really get a chance to do it unless we do something like this. So it'll be really cool because all of our listeners are going to get to sit along like they were sitting here with us and hearing these stories. So again, you're welcome back anytime. Maybe we can get you guys back on after you guys go win the third in a row in Germany. And again, I can't thank you enough. Congrats on your championship. Go get it done overseas. And I truly can't thank you enough. It's an honor.
Well, it means a lot, Cody. Thank you for doing it. And thank you for doing it for the sport. I mean, this is huge, and, I'm glad to be a part of it. And I would love to, have another interview with you after the Quad Cross of Nations. So hit me up. I'm available every day of the week.
All right, man. I thank you so much again. Come back anytime. Go get it done over there. And, yeah, everybody, that's your champion, Mr. Joel Hetrick. Yeah, what an awesome interview with the champ. So pumped to bring this kind of content to the ATV world, and we're not stopping anytime soon. I have so many guests, product features, topics, and more lined up, and we're just getting started. We're going to have Digger Doug Gust in the next couple episodes, in the next episode or two, I would say. Can't wait to have my childhood hero, Digger Doug, come on, and like I said, so much more. I have to thank tonight's featured guest, Joel Hetrick, who was brought to you by DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain. Thanks to my producer, my brother Dallas, for his nonstop efforts and support of the podcast. I couldn't do it without you, D. Thanks to the beautiful Taylor Smith for her graphic design work. Thanks to her, the podcast looks incredible. So if you need any graphic design work done, shoot me a message and I'll get you in touch with her. She's fantastic. Thanks to our sponsors, CST Tires, SSI Decals, DID Racing Chain, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, 100% and the new Mega Goggle, Blenders Eyewear, Mountaineer Brand, and Oats Overnight. Support the brands that support our show and use those codes to save. If you enjoy the show, we encourage you to donate via Patreon if it suits you. That added support will help grow the show, and if you're interested in being a show sponsor, shoot me a message and we can chat about that. We're working on our 2020 show sponsorship as we speak. And remember, guys, give us a call. We now have a call-in line, so call in, leave us your voicemails, asking questions, making comments, anything really. I can't wait to hear from you guys, so start using that. The number is 920-569-3519. That's 920-569-3519. So go ahead and use that call-in line, and you could very well hear yourself on the next episode. Thanks again to you guys, our listeners. I say it every week, but your support is truly surreal. Our numbers are growing so fast, I truly can't even believe it. It's a blessing. Thank you all so much. We truly are here putting out this great content thanks to all of you. Remember to follow me, Cody Jansen, and the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Just so you don't miss anything with all the cool features and stuff we have coming up. Subscribe to the show, give us a rating, tell your friends, share our posts. It all truly helps, guys. So if you do some of that for us, we really appreciate it. Again, what an awesome show tonight. Thanks again to Joel Hetrick and everybody involved behind the scenes. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. With that, thanks for listening. I'm Cody Jansen, and until next time, thanks for digging deep with the stars of ATV Motocross.